Hello, and welcome again to Today Matters, a short devotional in the Word of God. My name is Pastor Kevin Pagano, and this week, I'm joining you all week, and we're walking through the Beatitudes. What we're really looking at is the difference between joy and happiness. What I said yesterday, I'm reminding you every single day that happiness is a feeling based upon circumstances, and joy is an attitude that defines your circumstances. I believe if you take these principles of life that we read in the Beatitudes and apply them to your life, you'll be able to look at any season of life and find joy. So we're on day 2, and we're looking at the Beatitudes found in Matthew chapter 5. Today, I want to look at the third Beatitude, and we find that in verse 5. And it simply says this in Matthew 5, verse 5. It says, "Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth." Meek is a word that doesn't really bring to mind any sense of power. Meek is a word that many people see as weakness. So what is Jesus asking us to do right here? He's describing the blessed life as one of weakness? No, he's not telling us to be weak little pushovers. In fact, what he's really calling us to do is to be humble. C.S. Lewis has an amazing quote when he described humility, and he said, "Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less." You see, it's not about being a pushover or being someone who doesn't think they can really do anything or just have nothing good to offer. It's really understanding that you have the ability to not only think about yourself, but to think about other people, to think that you don't have it all figured out, to understand that you have faults too. Jesus dealt with a lot of people who were prideful, and it was probably one of the most number one things he confronted and called out in people. A parable that he told was really calling on the religious leaders of the day to not live in their own righteousness, to accept their faults before God, and to understand that's really the way to let God move. Here's what he says. I'm going to read this parable to you. It says, "To some who were confident in their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, 'God, I thank you that I'm not like the other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even this tax collector. I fast twice a week, and I give a tenth of all I get.' But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up at heaven, but beat his breast and said, 'God, have mercy on me, a sinner.' I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all who exalt themselves will be humbled, but those who humble themselves will be exalted." I love this statement. I love this parable, and that's from Luke 18, 9 through 14. I love what Jesus is trying to teach here. He's trying to confront the Pharisees and the people of his day who are prideful. And what I would like to say is these people who are prideful, their whole life was about making people believe that they had it all figured out. And the prideful attitude just wants to build up this notoriety for yourself. It's all about seeing how many people you can fool to think that you have it all figured out. How righteous can you look? How much can you think about what you look like compared to other people? So those who admit that they don't have it all figured out are meek. They're humble. And they leave room for God. You see, and that's what's so cool, that this is an opportunity for us to stand before God and say, "God, we don't have it figured out. We need you." And when we do that, this promise from this parable pretty much says that God exalts us. God lifts us up. And to get the praise and the notoriety and the acceptance of God our Father, that's the greatest thing. Can you imagine walking through life believing that you have the acceptance of the Father? How much joy would that produce in your life? So today, you might need to examine. I want to ask you to examine the areas of your life where you've built up pride, where it's been about you putting on a show or trying to make as many people believe that you have a flawless and perfect life. What would it look like if you were more honest with yourself? What would it look like if you were more humble about who you are and your own faults? What the world would see is somebody who is honest. And what God would see is somebody who has room in their life for him to move. I pray that you would do that today and be blessed.